You bought soy milk because the label said simple ingredients. Organic. Non-GMO. Clean. But flip that carton around and count what's actually in there, and something stops adding up fast. Because real soy milk is basically soybeans and water. That's it. So why does your carton need 15 other things just to look white and pour like milk? Today we're going through every single one of those additives, what they actually are, and why your soy milk would look like gray water without them. Number 1. Soy milk with carrageenan. Picture seaweed pulled from the ocean, boiled down and chemically processed into a fine white powder. That powder is carrageenan, and it shows up in more soy milk brands than most people expect. It has zero nutritional value. Its only job is to make thin, watery soy liquid feel thick and creamy in your mouth, because without it, the product pours like dirty gray water and feels nothing like milk. That creaminess you associate with the drink? Engineered texture, not a natural one. Now there are two types of carrageenan. The degraded form, called polygeenan, is classified as a possible carcinogen, and your gut can partially convert food-grade carrageenan into it during digestion. Researchers flagged it for gut inflammation in animal studies, and the EU banned it from infant formula entirely. And here's what catches most shoppers off guard. The USDA organic seal doesn't block carrageenan. Plenty of products carry that seal and still list carrageenan in the ingredients. The front of the carton says clean, the back tells a different story. Number 2. Soy milk with natural flavors. Two words show up on millions of ingredient lists and tell you almost nothing. Natural flavors. You see that and picture something from a farm, a vanilla bean, a bit of fruit, something real. That assumption is exactly what food companies count on. The FDA lets manufacturers call anything a natural flavor, as long as it started from a plant or animal source, even if it got processed through solvents or chemical reactions in a lab. One natural flavor entry can hide dozens of separate compounds. You have no way to know from the label. In soy milk specifically, natural flavors exist to cover up the beany, bitter taste of processed soy. You're not tasting soy at all. You're tasting a flavor correction designed to make processed soy water taste clean and neutral. Number 3, soy milk with added cane sugar. And a lot of people switch to soy milk thinking they're cutting sugar. Then they check the label and find 6, 7, sometimes 9 grams per serving. Not from the soybeans, but from cane sugar added during manufacturing. And the front of the carton won't warn you. Original flavor almost always means sweetened. Only the word unsweetened means no added sugar, and most shoppers don't catch that difference until they're already home. For anyone managing blood sugar, that matters a lot. Unsweetened soy milk has a low glycemic index, but add cane sugar and that changes fast. Sugar also covers the chalky, starchy aftertaste that comes from heavily processed soy ingredients. It's a cheap fix that masks a low-quality base without actually improving it. Number 4. Soy milk with sunflower oil. Soybeans and water. That's what soy milk should be. So why does your carton list sunflower oil as an ingredient? Manufacturers often skip whole soybeans and use defatted soy flour or soy protein isolate instead, because it's cheaper and easier to process at scale. Stripping the soy down that way removes most of the natural fat, so they pour sunflower oil back in to make the product feel creamy in your mouth. You're not getting extra fat. You're getting a swap, refined sunflower oil in place of the natural fat that got removed before the product ever reached the blending tank. Sunflower oil also loads you up with omega-6 fatty acids, and most people already get far too much omega-6 in their daily diet. Number 5, soy milk with soy lecithin. Oil and water don't mix, and your soy milk is mostly water with oils and fat-based nutrients stirred in. Without something forcing those two things together, your drink separates into a greasy layer on top and watery liquid below within hours. Soy lecithin acts as the chemical bridge between fat and water molecules, holding everything in suspension. It gets extracted from soybean oil using hexane, a petroleum-derived solvent also found in gasoline production. The final product is considered safe, but it's a byproduct of industrial oil manufacturing, not something that grew in a field. People managing soy allergies should also know that soy lecithin carries trace amounts of soy protein, and not everyone with a soy allergy tolerates it the same way. Number 6. Soy milk with gellan gum. Gellan gum sounds natural enough. It comes from bacterial fermentation, so it's not synthetic in the lab chemical sense, but the process that produces it looks nothing like anything that happens on a farm. A specific strain of bacteria called Sphingomonas elidea gets fermented in large industrial tanks, and the resulting substance gets purified, dried, and milled into powder. In your soy milk, that powder creates a weak gel structure throughout the liquid that keeps proteins, minerals, and added nutrients from sinking to the bottom of the carton. Skip it, and the first glass you pour is mostly water, while the last glass comes out as thick, chalky sludge. Scientists also use gellan gum as the gel base in petri dishes to grow bacteria. Food-grade gellan is processed differently, but the core function is identical: hold things in place inside a gel matrix. Number 7. Soy milk with guar gum. Guar gum comes from guar beans, so it sounds like it belongs in a soy drink. But it's not there for nutrition. It's there because heavily processed soy liquid is thin and flat, and guar gum is one of the cheapest ways to fake some body. It works by absorbing water and swelling into a thick, viscous gel that slows the pour and makes the liquid feel heavier in your mouth. Manufacturers often stack it with gellan and xanthan because each one handles a different part of the texture problem, so together they rebuild what the whole soybean used to provide naturally. Drink it every day, and the guar gum adds up across everything else you eat that contains it too, and your gut notices. Number 8. Soy milk with xanthan gum. Xanthan gum comes from Xanthomonas campestris, the same bacteria that causes black rot in vegetables. Sugar gets fermented with that bacteria in industrial tanks, producing a slimy, viscous substance that gets dried into powder and added to your soy milk. In the carton, it stops the liquid from separating and keeps the texture consistent from the first pour to the last, working alongside guar gum to create a thickness that neither one fully achieves alone. Oil drillers use xanthan gum in drilling fluids underground for the exact same reason. It controls viscosity wherever you add it. People with corn, wheat, or soy allergies should also know that xanthan gum gets grown on those same crops, and manufacturers don't always have to tell you which one. Number 9. Soy milk made from soy protein, isolate. Some soy milks aren't even made from whole soybeans. They're built from soy protein isolate, a fine white powder that gets processed through acid baths, alkaline washes, and high heat until almost everything except the protein gets stripped out. Hexane, that same petroleum solvent from the lecithin process, can show up here too. Manufacturers prefer isolate because it's cheaper to ship and gives a consistent protein number on the label, but whole soybeans carry fiber, natural fats, and isoflavones that largely disappear during that process. Isoflavones are the compounds in soy that researchers connect to health benefits, and processing reduces or alters them. So every oil, gum, flavor, and synthetic vitamin in that carton exists to rebuild what the isolate process destroyed. Number 10. Soy milk with phosphates. Dipotassium phosphate, tricalcium phosphate, sodium phosphate. Most people scroll right past these on the ingredient list because they sound like minerals your body needs. They're doing two jobs at once, and neither one is straightforward. Some phosphates act as emulsifying salts, keeping the liquid stable so it doesn't separate in the carton. Others get added as calcium fortification, so the nutrition label looks competitive with dairy milk. But the calcium in tricalcium phosphate doesn't absorb the same way dairy calcium does, and research on how much your body actually uses is mixed. Dipotassium phosphate also shows up in processed cheese and instant soups. Its presence in soy milk signals that the product's pH needed chemical management, something that never happens when you make soy milk at home from actual soybeans. Number 11. Soy milk with artificial vitamins blend. Vitamin A palmitate, vitamin D2, cyanocobalamin. These are lab-made vitamins stirred into your soy milk because the processing that created it stripped out most of what the soybean naturally carried. Vitamin D2 is weaker than D3, the form your body actually uses best, and research shows it does a worse job of raising your vitamin D levels. Cyanocobalamin is a synthetic B12 your body has to convert before it can do anything with it. So the nutrition label looks great on paper, but what your body absorbs is a different story. The formula goes like this: process the soybean until it's shelf stable, lose the nutrients along the way, then spray synthetic versions back in to match what dairy milk shows on its label. Number 12. Soy milk with preservatives. Fresh soy milk made at home lasts 3 to 5 days in the fridge. Commercial soy milk in a carton can sit in your pantry for 6 months unopened. And that gap doesn't happen from good soybeans alone. Some brands use preservatives like sodium benzoate to block microbial growth. And when sodium benzoate meets vitamin C, which is already in most fortified soy milk, the two can react to form benzene, a known carcinogen. Small amounts, but a real reaction. Other brands skip traditional preservatives and use ultra-high temperature processing instead, blasting the liquid to around 280 degrees Fahrenheit for a few seconds. That kills bacteria, but it also changes the protein structure, dulls the flavor, and weakens the synthetic vitamins that were just added in the previous step. Number 13. Soy milk with added syrups. Brown rice syrup, oat syrup, tapioca syrup. These names sound like they belong in a health food store, but in soy milk, they're doing the exact same job as cane sugar, just with friendlier packaging. Brown rice syrup is almost pure maltose, and your body breaks it down into glucose fast. Some studies also found elevated arsenic levels in brown rice syrup because rice pulls arsenic from soil more readily than other crops. That's what's sweetening your natural drink. Tapioca syrup is nearly flavorless, so manufacturers use it to add sweetness without the word sugar jumping out at you on the label. Labeling rules let them list syrups separately from added sugars in some cases, so the total sugar content looks lower than it actually is. Number 14. Soy milk with creamers or stabilizers. Some soy milks don't just add 1 or 2 stabilizers. They add a pre-mixed stabilizer blend, sometimes called a creamer system. And that single line on the ingredient list can hide 5 or 6 separate compounds underneath it. Those blends can contain carrageenan, locust bean gum, various phosphates, and microcrystalline cellulose, which is processed wood pulp or cotton fiber used to thicken the liquid and prevent a thin, watery texture. A third-party supplier mixes it all together before it ever reaches the factory, so the manufacturer just dumps in one ingredient while you read one word. Wood fiber in your soy milk, and the label just says stabilizer blend. You have no way to know what's actually in there without contacting the supplier directly. Number 15. Soy milk with multiple emulsifiers. You already know one emulsifier is in there, but some soy milk stack 2, 3, sometimes 4 of them. And that number tells you exactly how unstable the base formula actually is. Soy lecithin handles the fat-water interface. Sunflower lecithin backs it up. Mono and diglycerides stabilize the foam layer on top. Phosphate esters manage how the protein behaves. Each one patches a different part of the same core problem. The soybean got stripped so far down during processing that it lost the natural lecithin and proteins that would have held everything together without any help. Mono and diglycerides also carry a detail worth knowing. They can contain trace trans fats from production, and the FDA lets a product say 0 trans fat, as long as the amount stays under 0.5 gram per serving.